All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er videos. We break down everything that happened on a Wednesday down here in Santa Clara. All right, let's talk a little bit about what this Wednesday has brought news-wise for the 49ers as they prepare to go to Houston to take on the Texans and the #1 defense in the NFL as far as points per game allowed. Texans give up 14.6 points per game. That's not a lot. So this is going to be a huge challenge for the 49ers, to say the least. All right, what happened today? Niners signed Stone Blanton back to the practice squad. They cut Trevis Gipson from the active roster and then immediately signed him back to the active roster. Or I should say, cut him from the active roster and immediately signed him back to the practice squad. And then also promoted Robert Beal from the practice squad to the active roster. All right, you may be sitting there going, Krug, my head's spinning, make sense of it. Basically what the Niners are doing here is they're just trying to keep their reservoir of defensive talent. So they're moving guys around to try to maximize the 3 elevations they can get off each player from the practice squad, and then using the active roster interspersed in between to retain their inventory. So they want to keep Gibson, they want to keep Beal Jr., they like both of them, and they're just kind of rotating through as the season goes on, who's on the practice squad, who's on the active roster, because there's limitations to how many practice squad elevations you can have. So right now, Gibson's on the practice squad and Beal's on the active roster. What does it all mean? It just means they're trying to retain their overall defensive line inventory. They don't want to cut any of these guys. They don't want to lose these guys, so they're trying to move them around. As far as today, did not practice list included a surprise. No Demo Lenore. He was working on a side field, but he's got a quad injury, and he did not practice. Bryce Huff didn't practice. Jake Brendel worked on a side field. He did not practice. Yatir Gross-Matos didn't practice. Ricky Pearsall didn't practice. Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams were both given vet days, so neither of them practiced. As far as Brock Purdy, believe it or not, I would have loved to have said he didn't practice because I think that's in his best interest, but he was out there practicing limited with a toe injury. Shanahan said that it's steadily getting better each week. So I would expect more Mac Jones this week in Houston, but Purdy's toe is steadily getting better. Renardo Green's got a toe. He was limited. Upton Stout has an ankle injury. He was limited. And Spencer Burford, the Niners opened his 21-day practice window. So they now have 3 weeks to look at Spencer Burford and decide if they want to promote him to the active roster. If the 3 weeks elapse and they haven't promoted him to the active roster, he's done for the year. He goes on season-ending IR at that point. As far as Houston this week, they're not 100% healthy either. Nico Collins had a concussion in the fourth quarter against Seattle. He did not practice on Wednesday. Christian Kirk's got a hamstring injury. He also did not practice on Wednesday. As far as what does the public think about this upcoming game? Well, 9 of 10 NFL Network analysts are picking the Niners to beat the Texans on Sunday. I'll tell you what I see. I see a low-scoring game. I think the Texans' defense is going to slow down the Niner offense, and I think the Niners' defense is going to slow down the Texans' offense. The Texans' offensive line is in bad shape. The Texans are down maybe their best receiver. I don't think the Texans are going to score a lot of points, but I also don't think the Niners are necessarily going to score a lot of points, and that will be something to watch for in this game. We should also tell you this 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop where you get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, we got some more notes from today. Christian McCaffrey won the NFC Offensive Player of the Week award. What a week it was for CMC. 129 rush yards, 72 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. CMC, have yourself a game. By the way, CMC has the second highest odds currently to be the comeback player of the year. He's plus 175. The favorite right now is Dak Prescott at plus 100. Prescott's playing some pretty good ball in Dallas. Adam Schefter reported today that the 49ers have a minority ownership agreement stake, and it has officially been sold to Peter Brigger Jr. and his family, the Brigger family. The NFL okayed this today, and so it is now official news. The Brigger family has bought into the 49ers. Frank Gore is in the news. He's among 52 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And a lot of people are asking me this question: is Frank Gore a first ballot Hall of Famer? Damn right he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. The guy ran for 16,000 yards. The guy played 16 years in the NFL. He's the 3rd leading rusher all time. Yes, Frank Gore, first ballot Hall of Fame. No doubt in my mind he belongs. No doubt. I know there'll be some people that will argue this or that. I'm trying not to hear that. This guy tore his ACL on his right leg and left leg before he ever played a down in the NFL. And then he played 16 years and ran for 16,000 yards. Yes, Frank Gore, first ballot Hall of Famer. One of the guys that was interviewed extensively in the locker room today was Matt Hennessy. And I've been saying we got to do a t-shirt. A shot of Hennessy is all the Niners needed. But Matt Maiocco pointed out that the Niners actually averaged 7.2 yards per carry when Jake Brendel was in there, and 3.6 yards per carry when Brendel was not in there. But, personally, I just think Hennessy's the better option. He's 27. He's closer to 320 pounds. Brendel's, about 295. He's 33. I think Hennessy's a bigger, stronger body. And I think I'd go with Hennessy. I mean, definitely this week, but we'll see going forward. I'd like to see Hennessy going forward. This morning, ESPN Jeremy Fowler did a whole breakdown of the players that are ideal fits for the 49ers. And this is an interesting list. He's got Christian Harris, the Texans linebacker. That would be a great addition. He's 24. He's really young. He's fast. I think he was one of the best linebackers in football. And all of a sudden, he just got caught up in a numbers game in Houston. I'll take Christian Harris right now. He's a terrific young linebacker. They've got Mark Andrews on this list. Mark Andrews, really? I don't know. I think he's washed. Chris Olave's on the list, which is interesting because Olave's played with some not that great quarterbacks, but he's got great speed. God knows the Ohio State Buckeye receivers have done an awful lot. Is it possible that the Niners see Olave as maybe a guy that could explode in their offense? That's possible. He is the vertical threat, and he would give them vertical speed that they don't have. So they've been trying with that to get that with Cowing, with Watkins. Maybe Kyle wants that vertical speed. Maybe Olave is in there. Maybe he's in there in the crosshairs there. Trey Hendrickson is on this list, though Cincinnati currently says they have no plans to trade him. Jalen Phillips of the Dolphins is on this list. I thought that was an interesting name. Logan Wilson of the Bengals, the linebacker, who's a really active linebacker. That would be an interesting pickup if they got Logan Wilson. He is a fast linebacker who can play coverage. Arden Key is an interesting name from Tennessee. And then Kingsley Enagbare from Green Bay. Once again, I can't see Green Bay helping the Niners, so I would just draw a line through Kingsley Enagbare. Let's go back to Arden Key for a second. I think Arden Key makes a lot of sense, especially if he comes with Roger McCreary. McCreary's a good corner. He played at Auburn. He's got talent. Tennessee ain't going anywhere. If you could get Arden Key and Roger McCreary, that might really be what the Niners need. Upton Stout's got an injury, though he practiced today. Demo's, got an injury today. Now you've got Renardo Green's got an injury. Those are your top 3 corners. Now with Demo, Renardo, and Stout all injured, I talked to Darrell Luter. He's fired up. He's going to get an opportunity. But the Niners need another corner. You don't want to go to Saron Neal, Eli Apple, or beyond and to try to find corners. When you run out of corners, it's game over. You got to be able to defend the pass in this league. So I will say this, out of all the talk about all the different positions, we've heard about tight ends, receivers, defensive linemen, defensive tackles, defensive ends, linebackers. I think it's really somebody off the edge who's versatile, who could be used in a rotation, Arden Key, who's not too cheap, not too expensive. And then Roger McCreary, I think a Key McCreary trade from Tennessee makes the most sense because you need that corner and you need that edge rusher. And I think you could probably get both for maybe a 4th round pick, combined. And that'll be a nice little trade right there. A 2026 4th round pick for Arden Key and Roger McCreary. I would do that in a heartbeat. I may try to make multiple trades if I was John Lynch, but I like that one right there. Key and McCreary from Tennessee. Watch for that as the deadline approaches. Are the Niners going to go on a big run? I think that's the other big question. They're 5-2. Look at the schedule ahead through the bye week and beyond. Houston, they're 2-5. The New York Giants, 2-5. The Rams at home, you've already beaten them there. They're 5-2, by the way. Arizona, 2-5. Carolina, believe it or not, is 4-3. The Browns are 2-5. That's going into the bye. That's the 6 games going into the bye. Then you get Tennessee, who's 1-6 coming out of the bye. The next 7 games for the Niners, they could be 12-2. They could be 11-3. I don't think that's that crazy. I mean, I would say 10-4 is highly likely. You're gonna lose more than 2 games in that group. I mean, maybe you lose to the Rams. I mean, I don't think they're just gonna lose 2 games in that. I think they're gonna go on a little run here, especially if they get this win against Houston in any kind of impressive fashion, and if they can continue to run the ball effectively against this defense, that will be a great sign. But watch for the Niners here. This is a really interesting 3-week stretch. Houston, the Giants, the Rams, in the next 3 weeks. If somehow the Niners can go 3-0 in that stretch and get to 8-2, they're looking really good. They're looking really good. Not just to make the playoffs, but to maybe have the road to the Super Bowl, which is here, come through here. Wouldn't that be something if the 49ers didn't have to leave their home stadium for the entire playoff run? Could happen. Couple last ones. Kyle Shanahan said he has a lot of confidence in Eddie Pinheiro. Why wouldn't he? He's 17 for 17. I thought that was funny today. Ex-Niner wide receiver Ray McCloud cut by the Falcons. We threw out yesterday. Would the Niners have interest? Well, today he signed with the New York Giants. So Ray is now a New York Giant. And Bleacher Report keeps throwing out these Max Crosby to the Niner trade rumors. And they have this trade. The Niners trading their 2026 first and 4th, their 2027 first and 5th, and Juwan Jennings, 5 players, basically 4 draft picks and JJ, for Max Crosby. I don't think Max Crosby's going anywhere. I will say this, though. The most interesting Raider rumor mill thought of the day is that Bleacher Report had the Raiders trading Jackson Powers Johnson, the Oregon center, former Oregon center / guard, who got benched over the weekend by Pete Carroll against Kansas City. If the Raiders want, this guy had a good rookie year. He's 330 pounds. He can play center. He can play either guard spot. Man, if I was John Lynch, I would call up Spytech, the GM of the Raiders, and find out what he wants for Jackson Powers Johnson. He's a big interior offensive lineman who may not even be your solution right away, but he could be your solution down the road. If you could get a player like that from the Raiders. I mean, the speculation is that he may be gettable for a 4th or a 5th round draft choice. This guy was a 2nd round pick, and he's a big, talented interior offensive lineman. That's the door that I would knock on. The Raiders are not the smartest organization. They've gotten rid of a lot of good players that have gone on to great things, including Randy Moss in New England and others. So Jackson Powers Johnson, if he's out there, that's a name that I think John Lynch ought to call on. He might be a difference maker long term for the 49ers, where they most need the help along that offensive line. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to our good friends at Sleeper for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.